Generation X. In general terms, those born between 1965 and 1980. Latchkey kids. Independent. Existentialism. Modern philosophy focusing on personal experience, human ability, and responsibility in an otherwise meaningless universe. We're the cause. This is the effect. We're the Gen Existentialists. Welcome in, friends, to the Gen Existentialist podcast. My name is Scott.
And I'm Bunny.
And we are here to whittle your wood, as it were, and try and come up with a Gen X figurine by the end of this show that means something to all of us.
Yeesh.
You know, and the fact that I come up with these things off the top of my head as the intro ends.
That's like a portrait of a diseased mind.
Yeah, I try not to plan the intro bits at all, and that's I'm weirded out. I would like to do a psychological study of like how that came about. What I just said, it just I don't know. Anyway, so we're gonna give Mega Wheel of Magnificent a spin and see what kind of topic we come up with. Of course, we're going to try and stick with our themed episodes ideas and run from that. And so we have our first topic. Are you ready, Bunny?
Oh, yeah.
Okay. When you have had a bad day, are you the kind of person that likes to be cheered up, or would you prefer to be left alone? And why?
In general, I'd say I prefer to be cheered up, but it honestly depends on how bad of a day I've had. There's all different types of bad days.
Yeah.
You know, if I've had a bad day at work or something like that, then by all means, cheer me up. If I've lost a loved one, let me wallow for a while. You know, I prefer to process that sadness properly. I don't really think, sorry to be this way about coworkers and all that, but I don't really think any of you merit the kind of, you know, sadness that I need to process. That's more of a, why don't I just go listen to a Little Richard album and have a nice meal and hang out with my wife, kind of. That's all I need for that. So, how about you?
You know, I hadn't actually thought about it that way until you pointed it out. But yes, there are different themes of bad days. There are different causes of bad days. And sometimes, and I try not to be this way, but I find that I always have been, that all it takes is one bad thing, one negative, to color or tint the rest of the day.
Like Michael Douglas in Falling Down.
Yeah. Oh, I love that movie so much.
That's a great movie.
I adore that movie for so many reasons. Michael Douglas's crowning achievement, really. If you haven't seen it, my God, watch it. If you're Gen X, I'm sure you've seen it.
Oh, yeah.
It's great. But yeah, it's like one of those things where I had a tarot card reading.
Oh.
Decades ago.
Oh, okay.
And
it's like wow.
Decades and decades ago.
Okay.
And the thing was, I mean, the guy that did the reading for me, this is back when I worked at WAIF. He was one of the hosts of one of the other shows that dealt with like mystical matters and things like that.
WAIF is a local radio station for all you guys out there.
WAIF 88.3 FM Cincinnati. It's where I used to do a show called Script Us Live back in the day. And really where I got into like doing voiceover work and different things like that. But anyway, I had this tarot card reading, and the thing that struck me is the fellow that did the reading only knew me as a host on the show and somebody else at the radio station. So there's really no way he could have had the insights that he did. And they weren't generalized things. There was some very specific stuff that came up. And as he's saying it, I'm going in as the cynic, as the skeptic.
You, a cynic?
Yeah, I know. Weird, huh? And trying not to give anything away with like I like looks or kinesics, you know, body movements or anything. And one of the things that he really touched on, and I forget the cards that led to this, he said, you cry over spilled milk. Something happens and you let it affect you and keep affecting you for a long time. And he looked at me and said, you need to stop. And I think as just here, like thinking about that now. I know that that's me. And very often that's one of the bits of advice I give myself, and I hear it in his voice.
Oh, there you go.
You need to stop.
What a gift he gave.
Yeah, he did, because I find myself spiraling like that sometimes, and I literally, not on a daily basis, but every once in a while, especially at work, I have to go, you need to stop. That happened. They're not going to listen. You weren't able to convince them. Move on.
Sure.
And as a safety professional, when you can't convince somebody of something that needs to be done for safety, it kind of counts as a fail.
No, that's when you add the sad trombone and you just go about your life.
Yeah, and that's kind of what happens. So anyway, I was trying to answer our question. Like, bad day, cleared up. Do I want to be cheered up or left alone? A very few people can cheer me up. You know, you, our group of friends, my wife, obviously. In general, though, I leave me alone, I'll eventually get out of it. Because, you know, I remember things like that, and I remember what I learned during therapy. I can stop myself from spiraling, but there's also that kind of reflection period.
Sure.
When something has made you sad, something has caused a bad day. Because there is cause and effect. I mean, sometimes you wake up on the wrong side of the bed and you're just having a bad day. So in that case, how can somebody cheer you up when there's no real cause?
Because they give you a reason to live.
Okay, fair point.
Give you a reason to get up, even if you're being a grumpy butt.
Grumpy butt.
Grumpy butt.
I'm never a grumpy butt. Let me throw another angle on this.
All
like,
right.
Do you think it's different for introverts or extroverts?
Absolutely.
Okay, which do you think is easier?
I think it's a lot easier for extroverts to get over this stuff.
Yeah.
I mean, you're wired into the pulse and the electricity of the world.
You're a hive mind.
Yeah, I mean, introverts, I'm married to an introvert. And I know that we just had this discussion earlier where it's like, well, if I'm having a bad day, I'm an extrovert by, you know, I guess that's just the way I'm wired.
Yeah.
Is that I need to vent. Yeah. I'm a constant furnace of hate, and I need to vent or the pressure builds up, and then I'm just miserable and everything falls apart. You know, the machine stops.
Yeah.
My wife is an introvert, and she needs to have time to sit and wallow and process and stuff like that, and in a bad day, and really think it through.
Yeah.
What we're both guilty of is we're both guilty of trying to find solutions to problems. We're both very solution oriented.
Yeah.
So when I'm just venting, she gets worried because she's like, well, I'm trying to solve the problem and you're shooting all my ideas down. And it's like, well, not so much shooting them down. I've already thought about a lot of contingencies, and I'm just venting right now.
Yeah.
Just to let the pressure out.
Sure.
And once the pressure's gone, I'll listen to a good song. I'll watch a little bit of comfort viewing. I'll have a nice meal. I'll do something fun with a friend or with you or somebody, and we will move forward.
Yeah.
You know, my wife, on the other hand, needs to really sit and process it out, and then she'll come and talk. Like, I'll chase her down trying to, like, come up with solutions, and she just runs, you know, because it's too much, I guess. You know, it's throwing too much fuel on the fire.
Yeah.
But that's just the way I'm wired. How about you?
I tend to be more of an introvert, which is weird because, you know, doing a podcast, playing music, stuff like that. Heck, what I do for a job. But it's I blame that on being a Gemini, that I can hold two completely different ideologies in my head and be both of them at the same time. If I had my preference, I would be sitting alone in a cave, reading, playing music, and that would be my existence. I would be fine with that. But I would also miss all of the people meeting, people talking, getting along with people too. So there's a little bit of both there. And I kind of look at it this way, like the dichotomy between, I guess, from a Gen X perspective, like I remember bad days in like high school, college, going home, getting my Walkman, first a cassette player Walkman and then a CD player Walkman, putting the headphones on and just wallowing in music, kind of taking that introvert route.
Sure.
But then also sometimes I had a bad day, but I've got to go to work and I'm going to be around people. And sometimes all it took to shake me out of the bad day was like you, Tim, somebody else showing up at Record Alley. Mm-hmm. And hey, my friend's here.
Yeah.
And the cloud lifts. So from that perspective, as far as affects or people showing up, what worked for you? Was it music? Was it seeing people? Was it?
I have a tendency to be the kind of guy who will come up with a million excuses not to go out to do something social.
Okay.
But once I'm there, I'm golden. I'm like on. It's wonderful, just lit up. But it's that inertia. There's an inertia barrier that I have to get through, and that's because I run so high octane that I burn out quick, on people and events and a lot of activity around me and stuff burns me out. I do like to spend a lot of time alone too. So maybe there's a little bit of a dual personality there. I did a little bit of Gemini in this Capricorn there where it's like, I need my downtime to process things, but I also enjoy being around people.
Yeah.
But all sorts of things can pull me out of a funk. I mean, I spend a lot of time with comfort viewing. I will listen to certain types of music that really, get me going.
Music that gets you going, or music that provides a cushion and a bed for the mood? Because I can see both.
Well, yeah. I mean, it depends on, like I said, the bad day you're having. Mm-hmm. If it's something devastating, let's say a health diagnosis, a death, a relationship ending, something like that, then I prefer to feel the full breadth of that sadness.
Yeah.
And I'll play music that helps me to process that, a lot of sad music.
Yeah.
Now, if it's just something stupid, like, somebody cut me off in traffic, or, the people at work were being real dickheads, today, and I don't want to, I feel bad because somebody told me off or something, or little things like that. Oh, the news pissed me off today or whatever. Then I'll just listen to something fun and funk my way out of it, if you will.
Like literally funk your way out of it, like get some Bootsy Collins going on.
My go-to is The Best of Little Richard.
Really?
That is my go-to.
For sadness
I love
lifting.
to edit to it. I love to get out of funky moods with it.
Yeah.
It just makes me happy. I don't know why. Little Long Tall Sally, and I'm golden. So.
See, that's interesting because now I'm thinking about like what albums are my go-tos if I've had a bad day. Like, what do I put on if I had a bad day at work for the drive home? David Bowie, Reality, that album from like late 90s, early 2000s. I can't remember when it actually came out. And hardly talked about gem of his later years is the Reality album. I love that thing start to finish. It's beautiful. Somewhere in Time by Iron Maiden. Fly By Night by Rush. The Hunter by Mastodon.
See, you've got a whole library of albums.
Yeah, and it depends on what if the sadness is anger over something, I'm going to lean towards something heavier. If the sadness is literally sadness about something, I'm going to lean a different way. Like Midnight Oil's earlier greatest hits album, 20,000 Watt RSL, is great for just like bringing me back up. You can't listen to that album and be down. You can still feel sad, but you can't be down listening to that, if that makes any sense.
Sure.
So yeah, I do. I hadn't thought about it until now, but it's kind of a thing where I get in the car, set my phone up and hit play and drive home. And those are the ones that I will never take any of those albums off my phone. I need them to be there for when I need them.
All right. When I was in the hospital just recently, I had Chet Baker's Best Of on my phone. And I sat and listened to that. I had a nice view out the window. I could look across the river to see the skyline and the trees and all that. And I just parked my feet up on the windowsill and pulled the chair up to the window and played some Chet Baker, chilled out, had a few drinks. I was golden, I was in my own little mood, I kept all the lights off in the room.
Except for the bed light.
Yeah, except for that damn thing. But, yeah, I mean, there's ways to pull yourself out of whatever funk you're in.
Yeah. A surefire way to tell that I am really down or really concerned is if I don't want music.
Okay.
Like recently I had another scare with my eyes. Mm-hmm. And just thinking about it now as Tracy and I were driving back from my visit to the ophthalmologist, I didn't want to listen to anything.
Sure. Well, you got to process stuff.
Yeah. But usually I process with music. It's very seldom that I don't have a soundtrack.
There's different degrees of processing.
True.
There's some things that are a little heavier that you can't just blast your way out of it with music. You have to sit and actually turn it over in your mind. So
yeah, but like even like meetings at work.
Yeah, but that's inconsequential crap. I mean, think about that.
True, but I mean, it's like if you could plug into my head and like plug my head into a speaker. Mm-hmm. Somebody else is starting a meeting, and in my head, I'm hearing, "Woe to you, O earth and sea!" I'm starting to play "Number of the Beast" by Maiden because that is what I need as the soundtrack for what's about to happen. So my mind is kind of confusing that way. But I think it's all a reaction to those emotions. So we're talking about like cheering up or being left alone. Mm-hmm. Do you think it's the right thing to try to cheer somebody up? If you try to cheer somebody up, are you robbing them of a sadness that's needed so that they can balance where they're at with the good and come to some other equilibrium?
I think that's a responsibility of the person who's going through that to tell you what they need. And that's your responsibility to agree to it. If somebody needs space, and most people have enough inbuilt empathy that they can tell when somebody needs space. When my parents died, all I wanted to do was just to sit and process it. Yeah. And it took, honestly, years to process it. But it's one of those things, and people were kind enough to afford me that space.
Yeah.
And that's a good thing, but it's also one of those things where you have to tell people, because if you care about somebody and then, they're going through a low point for whatever reason, your first instinct is to find a way to help. And you feel helpless yourself if you feel like you can't help. My wife is always saying this when I'm going through a health thing or whatever, where she's just like, I just wish there was something I could do to help. Yeah. And I'm kind of like, well, you can't. But that doesn't diminish your need to be here, kind of a thing. I mean, you're part of my life.
Yeah.
You need to be here. I want you here, but you can't fix it. It's one of those things, right? And you shouldn't feel like you have to.
Right. And I think that gets to me, like in some of your downtimes with your parents passing and things like that. I'm not the kind of guy that's going to come around to anybody and go, cheer up, buckaroo, it's going to be just fine. Sure. I've never been that, because have I been more often the one on the depressive side of the ledger?
Sure,
yes,
of course.
Typically. Blame it on whatever. Oh, you're a poet, of course you're depressed, things like that, whatever. But I've never found that useful. I remember constantly certain people at early jobs and stuff would tell me constantly, smile, man, it's not that bad. And the guttural response that I would have to people saying that. So when somebody is having a downturn or they're sad, they're depressed, my natural tendency is to listen.
Yeah.
And if there's a chance to throw in a counterpoint, I will.
Yeah.
If there's a chance to suggest something, I will. But in general, just having someone listen, I think is the best. And it goes back to Winnie the Pooh. of all the weird references, like the sketch, and I don't know if it's real or not, but the sketch of like Eeyore sitting, he's down, he's depressed, and Pooh and Piglet just sitting with him, just because.
Well, the new frou-frou term for that is holding space. You know, they want you to hold space for other people, and I think that's what. When you go by and you tell somebody, "Hey, you should smile more," or "Hey, cheer up, man," blah blah blah.
I hate that.
That's for you. That's sort of a deflection because you feel uncomfortable around that person because they're making you feel this discomfort.
Yeah.
And I know it's very uncomfortable, especially when you're sitting with somebody who is deep in grief or something, not just a bad day, but somebody who is on the edge of just like constantly being in tears because they're in grief.
Right.
And it's very uncomfortable, especially for men. You know, it's this weird sort of like, well, what do? You know, hey, maybe we should go to the gym and lift. You know, maybe we should, you know, go to a titty bar. Maybe we should go, you know, to a rock concert or something. That'll snap you out of it. It doesn't, you know, and it's one of those things where sooner or later when you're comfortable enough in your own skin to sit with that person and just hold space, as they say, then that's really the best thing you can do for things like that. Now, casual acquaintances, people at work that tell you to smile and stuff like that, they don't, you're not that invested in them, and they're not that invested in you to be the one that wants to sit and hold space for you, or to sit and just let you vent and talk or whatever. You know, that's an acquaintance thing. That doesn't make them a bad person. It just makes them an acquaintance.
Yeah, and sometimes it's great if somebody knows you just came from a meeting and they can see by the look on your face that it didn't go the way you expected, and they're like, what happened? And they genuinely want to know. Yeah. That's always appreciated. Sure. And that's always a good thing. But I think it gets back to a lot of human interaction, too, is more listening, less talking. No. More opening up for the people that need it.
There's that book that you have or whatever that's like, you know, how many fucks do you have to give a day sort of a thing. Yeah. And everybody's running on that reserve, and everybody has different amounts of Fs to give to any situation or to any other person in that. And acquaintances have a lot less for you. Friends have a little bit more. Spouses and family members have a lot more, should. Yeah. You know, if you're in the right situation, and they should have a lot more for you. So, you know, take it with a little grain of salt. I know it's when you're in the middle of something that you think is devastating, other people may not understand that. Yeah. And they may not feel the way you feel. I mean, I've had people who have, you know, death of friends and family members just roll right off their back, and it's amazing. You know, I have no idea how they can process stuff. I don't work like that. I'm softy when it comes to things like that. I've got other friends who, if a coworker gives them a weird look, they're pissed for a week. And I'm the kind of guy where it's like, yeah, I'm pissed about it, but I'm just kind of like, fuck you. This doesn't merit enough of my time to even care about this, because, you know, you're going to go to bed tonight and they won't remember it. You should go to bed tonight and not remember it when you get up in the morning either. You know, it's a thing. It's a trivial thing.
And the look may have been them trying to hold in a fart as opposed to anything to do with you.
Yeah, you got to learn how to clinch, but be stealthy about it.
And with that, we will wrap up on whether it's better to be cheered up or left alone. I'm not sure we came to an answer really, except that it depends on the situation, as with so many things.
Well, how about you guys out there? Are you an introvert or an extrovert? Let us know, like, how you like to be cheered up. Tell us your cures for being cheered up. Yeah. It's always good to spread them around. Maybe we'll find something new that'll get us out of a funk in the future.
I personally want to know your go-to albums. Definitely. That you put on to be the soundtrack to your sadness. Yeah. And don't forget, kids, you only have so many fucks to give on any given day. Mm-hmm. Bank them wisely. Use them wisely. If you have a few left at the end of the day, you're doing pretty well. Yeah. And with that, until next time, this has been the Gen Existentialist Podcast. My name is Scott.
And I'm Bunny.
We'll catch you next time. Have a good one.